So, we are on the road to WrestleMania 31. I feel it's appropriate that since, well, you probably want to hear us whine and bitch and moan about how the current product is so bad, but you know what? We're going to take things in stride. Instead, we're going to go start a new little series on our top 15 favorite wrestlers of all freaking time. Spoiler alert, Triple H, Cena, and Hulk Hogan are not on this list, so now's a good time to leave. But if you are going to sit and, listen to us just, rave and rant about our favorite superstars, well, here's the place to do it. Greetings, everyone. I am your host, Toonkritic Y2K, your cult of personality. And, well, I don't need to do the whole who do we have here with me because it's always you two.
Yeah, we've been staying at your house for the last 6 months now.
I remember when we first started the show, we had some quick script and what was her face? I completely forgot her name. Sparky, and yeah, then Calcos just showed up and just shoved everybody aside, and we're just like, now we're here.
Remember, heel.
Calcos confirmed for burying everyone. He's basically Triple H with a smaller nose.
Hey, heel.
Yeah, I can see
not
that.
my
Calcos
fault.
heel.
I'm just too good.
So we're going to divide this into a 3-part series where we talk about 5 wrestlers at a time. And we're going to start off with number 15. Nicky, take us away.
Alrighty, we begin this list with the undisputed face of ECW. He started his rise to stardom in the dimly lit confines of Philadelphia's ECW arena, where he put on amazing matches with the likes of Jerry Lynn, Tommy Dreamer, and the Dudley Boys. He eventually brought his amazing athleticism and unique personality to the WWE, becoming a multi-time tag team and intercontinental champion, and of course, WWE champion. At number 15, it's Mr. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and every other damn night of the week, Rob Van Dam.
Hey, Nicky, real quick, were you doing the whole thing with the thumbs when you were saying his name too?
You bet your sweet ass I was.
That's like a requirement now. Whenever you say his name, you got to do the thing with the thumbs.
Oh, I remember when he returned at the Royal Rumble 2009, there was a guy partially blocking the camera when they had the wide crowd shot, and he was enthusiastically just pointing his thumbs at his hand. It's kind of hilarious. If you can, go look for it. It's on WWE's YouTube on one of their top 10s for, top 10 returning superstars for the Royal Rumble or whatever. Just look for it, watch it, and it's hilarious.
Sorry, I'm about to get very not hilarious, but that actually helped me out in a really bad part of my life, because that a couple months maybe a month prior to that, my house burned down and we had pretty much nothing at that point. And I was keeping track with the Royal Rumble was going on the Royal Rumble's Wikipedia page. And when I saw Rob Van Dam pop up on one of the on the chart that had all the participants on it, I was like, oh my God, thank you! It made me more happy than I had been for weeks, and it was a very good thing for me.
The thing about RVD that I really enjoy most is that you can put him in just about any situation, and it could be some of the stupidest storylines ever, but he would wrestle. He would do some pretty amazing shit. Like back in ECW, which I remember getting the Rise and Fall of ECW DVD, and that's how I was introduced to Rob Van Dam. And I loved watching all of his matches. I had his one-of-a-kind DVD, and it's really amazing because, like I said, you can put him in just about any kind of situation, and he doesn't care. He's going to put on some great matches.
When we call him the undisputed face of ECW, we're not kidding. ECW had a very, very good roster that would constantly shift because WWE and WCW were buying out their talent, but Rob Van Dam, from roughly 96 or 97 all the way to when the division folded, was always there. The only other constant was Tommy Dreamer. Everybody else was constantly moving around, but him and Tommy Dreamer stayed. And when ECW folded, Rob Van Dam was one of the first to go to WWE. And, oh my God. Just, Nicky, you know more. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that he and Tommy Dreamer were basically to ECW what Ric Flair and Sting was to WCW. Like, those two were the centerpieces. They were the ones who, like, when you think of ECW, one of those two guys is always the first person that comes to mind. And here's the crazy thing. Like, this is one of the big reasons that, like, I'm still kind of holding a grudge against Triple H and all the people who were in charge of the WWE around 01 and 02. Rob Van Dam, when he came into the WWE after ECW folded, was fucking over. Like, he was one of the most if not the most popular person on the roster. I think that there was some wrestling publication thing that does awards and stuff that said not only was he the most popular guy in all of wrestling in 01 and 02, but he was also the best wrestler in 02. And what was he doing at that particular time? Was he in the world title picture? Was he competing for world title? No, he was in the fucking Intercontinental and Tag Team divisions. They had the most over guy in the world, but no, Triple H.
Gee, what does that sound like today?
Yeah, Roman Reigns.
I remember there was a match that RVD had because I've seen a lot of his 2001, 2002 matches. He was doing amazing. If that was probably his WWE prime as opposed to like his ECW prime. You can tell nowadays he's still got it in him, but nowhere near as much as back then. Because I remember back then when he was like fighting Undertaker for like the Hardcore Championship, he was in ladder matches with friggin' Jeff Hardy and I think Christian at one point, or I could be wrong. It could be the other way around, but he was a constant. It didn't matter if he was, just in the mid card. He didn't care if he was like the WWE champion. He got his chance to be it, and then he passed it off. And he's like, okay, checked it off my list.
Eventually, he did finally get his way into the world title picture, although it was basically just to get ECW over because they were reintroducing it and they needed an ECW guy as the champion. Not complaining because it still got ECW, or it still got Van Dam his world title, but still I kind of wish he would have gotten it on his own without the WWE going, hey, can you promote ECW for us?
You mean the match with Cena at One Night Stand?
Oh my God, let me tell you about it.
Oh boy, here we go.
That is the greatest match of his career, without a doubt.
Bar none. There's like Van Dam and Cena just ripped each other a new one in that match. And not only were the participants in that match amazing, the crowd, man. The crowd at the Hammerstein Ballroom was the greatest crowd in anything. Like, that crowd was so behind Van Dam and so not behind John Cena.
I have not seen a crowd that rabid in a long time.
That was the kind of crowd where it doesn't matter what would have happened. I'm kind of surprised Cena left with his life intact. That was for anybody that's ever. Yeah,
I'm surprised he made it to the ring intact. They had this thing at the event where the people came to the ring and everybody was around them. They were basically coming in through the crowd, and Cena had to walk through that.
Yeah, I remember when like Randy Orton walked through that and some guy just punched his shoulder and he like paused and looked at him like, oh shit. It's that kind of territory. It's that kind of atmosphere, that kind of ECW magic that I don't think we're ever going to see again.
Well, we see it every single time the WWE goes to Philadelphia.
Well, yeah,
we really do. Philadelphia is, without a doubt, the biggest wrestling city in the world. It is to wrestling what Brazil is to soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
And on top of that, is there anyone who could take a fall? Like, maybe that's saying too much, but every fall he took, he would like spike his head or just take some dive through like tables or ladders and just... He was indestructible. And the crazy part is, I don't think he's not as athletic as he once was, but it's not like what happened with Foley and how he can barely move now. Van Dam still seems pretty able-bodied. Like, if he wanted to compete again, he could.
He probably could. And I think even now, He could still probably pull off like a title reign or something. He could probably be used just like Jericho to put somebody over. And that's the good thing about him. He is such a good sport about it too. We can make all of the marijuana and weed jokes about RVD and stuff, as funny as it is, but at the end of the day, we got to respect the dude because he put up a lot of stuff with ECW. He made a lot of like the mid card in early 2000s for WWE amazing. And even now, when he comes back, he gets a pop. People care.
Yeah, the unfortunate part, though, is he is never coming back to the WWE because he recently put out a couple of tweets. People are asking if he would be interested in coming back to the WWE. And he was like, are the same writers still there? No? Fuck off.
Yeah. I saw those. It's sad, but you know what? He had his reign as the king of the mid-card. He had his time, and I think it's time for us to let him rest.
I'm fully ready to say, you know what? You had a great career. I'd like to see you again, maybe show up in some other promotion if you're still up for it, but for right now, if this is the end for RVD, it has been awesome.
I think it's unanimous, too, that we think he deserves a Hall of Fame spot.
Oh, no question.
Without a doubt. He'll be in there within the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's move on to number 14.
Number 14. We knew that we couldn't make a list of our favorite wrestlers without acknowledging the two best women to ever lace up a pair of boots. These two ladies, during a time when women were meant for nothing but sex appeal, proved time and time again that the women could hang with the men, and to this day prove that the term Divas Division should be wiped away. At number 14, we have the two best female wrestlers to ever wrestle, Lita and Trish Stratus.
We couldn't narrow it down. We just could not say, oh, we were going back and forth. All right, should we take off Lita? Should we take off Stratus? What are we going to do here?
It's our list, honestly. When it comes to Lita and Trish Stratus, you have to put both of them together because they symbolized the Attitude Era. They symbolize what good women's wrestling in WWE is. When you look at the wrestling today, you have wrestlers like AJ or Paige, and before then you had like Melina, Mickey James, and Beth Phoenix, and even like Michelle McCool or Layla. You had like wrestlers, women wrestlers, not divas, women wrestlers that were good, but none of them were as over and as great as Lita and Trish.
There's a reason that the only time that the main event of a Raw has been a women's match was between Lita and Trish Stratus for the women's championship, not the Divas championship. Fuck that title. Fuck that butterfly piece of shit. I'm talking about the OG original title that the ladies can get.
It was back in 2004, and it's on WWE's YouTube channel if you want to check it out.
We are just plugging the shit out of the WWE YouTube channel, aren't we?
That was a great match, honestly.
You shill? Go on.
No, I was just saying that it was a great match. I loved the feud that they had going on where they traded the championship back and forth. And the feuds that they had, like, I think on their own with other wrestlers, I say wrestlers, I mean women wrestlers, you know what I mean? They were, Trish started off as like, some assistant for like friggin', what was it, Test and Albert or something. And Lita was with the Hardy Boys. And the comparisons, I guess, of how no, hang on, not the comparisons. They both really started off in like the manager spots, but very soon they were able to break free and get off on their own. And when they wrestled together, whether it was tag teams or regular, whoever they even wrestled with, it was really well put together. Their matches, their feuds, they were great on the mic. They had great people to go up against, or at least the good ones, and other bad ones, well, they at least tried to make the bad ones look good. Christy Hemme. I'm sorry, but that one match at WrestleMania 21, I'm just like, Trish, just don't even, just chick kick her. It's over. Don't even give her a chance. It's over.
There's a reason why the Hurricane Rana, when Lita does it, is called the Lita Rana. They're not doing that for branding. They're doing it because no one, man or woman, can land a Hurricane Rana like fucking Lita.
I fully believe that the reason why, like, whenever you see a female wrestler do a Hurricane Rana, not just in the WWE, but it happens a lot in Lucha Underground with Sexy Star and Eva Lisa and all them, it's thanks to Lita. Like, Lita pretty much put the Hurricane Rana on the map as one of the go-to really, really cool moves that the ladies can pull off.
I have a theory as to why. Also, Ivelisse does the Hurricane Rana, like, even better than Lita as far as technique goes. Her Hurricane Rana is amazing. Lita just originated the women's version, but I have a feeling as to why women can do Hurricane Rana so well, and it's because of their boobs. Now, hear me out here.
Go on.
I'm interested.
Okay. Wow, okay. Here we go. All right, so
creepos.
the Hurricane Rana involves putting your opponent in a head scissors and then arching your back or your front, depending on if it's a reverse Hurricane Rana, to throw your opponent over. A lot of this involves your opponent taking the fall for you, but whereas men will arch over and flop over, the women will swing around, and which makes it look a lot more authentic. And I don't really see men do this. I see women do this a lot, but I don't see men do this. And it's because the breasts weigh something. There's weight to it. So all they have to do is lean back or forward, and the extra weight causes momentum to allow them to swing.
So you're saying Big E Langston could probably do a really good Hurricane Rana?
Oh my God.
I went there, ladies and gentlemen. I went there.
Oh laddie daddy, foot laddie, you gotta feel it in your body. Come on now.
Can I punch you? Like, when we meet up at BronyCon, I am punching you for that.
Hopefully I go to BronyCon, we're gonna see, but Lita and Trish Stratus, like Trish Stratus especially, she was an unbelievable worker. She could work any match, anytime, anywhere, against anybody, and make everybody look good. Not many wrestlers, except unless you're total shit. But that's regardless. She was an unbelievable worker. There was nothing super flashy about her. She was just very good at making everything look fantastic. And then you have Lita, who was a high flyer trained in lucha libre, and she fought very, very hard to get her training. You can listen to this if you watch the 2014 Hall of Fame speech she did. These women are the cornerstones of female wrestling. They really are. If you think of women wrestlers, you think of them. As a matter of fact, I'll take it even a step farther. If you think of wrestlers, think of them. Don't discount them because they're women, because that's incredibly sexist, and it discounts the amount of work that these two women have put in. They are, without a doubt, the best women's wrestlers to ever live.
And I think that a lot of divas and women's wrestlers now could really learn a lot from them. The closest ones that I have seen that embody sort of the Lita and Trish Stratus, I guess, molds, or at least, or the closest thing we have to them. And they're not quite there yet, but they're on that path, and given the right development, could probably become them in a few years. AJ and Paige. I could see them both carrying the division to a possibly better place.
Well, we need better booking for that first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you time the match that they had on Monday Night Raw? Because I did.
Yeah, I did too, and it was so sad.
No, do you know the exact time?
How much?
30.86 seconds. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I'm really, really glad that the hashtag Give Divas a Chance was trending on Twitter, and AJ went off on Stephanie McMahon. And Vincent McMahon's public Twitter profile actually had to respond to it. And it really makes me hope that the women from this point out get better booking, because you can't go over with booking like that. I don't care how talented you are. I don't give a shit. The matches need to be booked better, especially in the Divas division. But
we can rattle about the Divas division for all we want, but we got to get to the next one.
And trust me, we have.
Yeah, Lita and Trish Stratus, best women wrestlers ever.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Now we come to Unlucky 13, which is my pick. I love the fact that I picked 13. Okay, at number 13, we have one of the best heels in the history of the WWE. This man knew how to get under your skin. Starting out as part of a very popular tag team, he started to rise through the ranks, winning the very first Money in the Bank briefcase and having some of the most compelling rivalries in wrestling history with people such as Christian, Mick Foley, and most notably, John Cena. This guy, the rated R superstar, Edge. wow, what can you really say about Edge? When you look at him like in the beginning, you figured he was just going to be, some tag team superstar. But he went off of that and became an insanely popular solo star. And he stayed as a heel for like a long time, and that's where people liked him. He was the kind of heel that you love to hate. He was slimy. He did every trick in the book, but he did it the Edge way. And you couldn't help but be like, this guy's an asshole, but I kind of like him. Edge Edge was always able to put on amazing matches. From his WrestleMania 22 hardcore match with Mick Foley to his Money in the Bank win at WrestleMania 21 or any of his matches with John Cena, this guy knew how to put on a show. Even his match at WrestleMania 24 with The Undertaker, we knew he was going to lose, but god damn it, Edge tried, and he put on one of the best Undertaker WrestleMania matches ever.
What actually sold me on him, I'll be honest, when I was getting into wrestling, it was right around Edge's heyday when he was really, really over, and I hated that little slime ball. But as I got into wrestling a little deeper more recently, I've gained a little bit more respect for him. But what sold me on him was the rivalries episode with him and Matt Hardy. Seeing that whole thing unfold was, if I was around during that time, that would have been compelling shit.
I completely forgot to mention his rivalry with Matt Hardy. The rivalry that they had is legendary now, I think, because it blurred the lines so well that today, if you tried it, it would just be silly. But back then, you didn't even know.
It was one of the realest rivalries that the WWE has ever done. Like, it was almost on the level of Bret Hart and Vince McMahon.
It was so soap opera-y, but in the end of the day, wrestling is kind of like a big giant soap opera with people beating the shit out of each other.
It's a soap opera with haymakers. Hey.
Hey.
I said it. He said the name.
Yeah. And of course, his greatest rivalry, of course, like you can forget even Matt Hardy. That's not his greatest rivalry. His greatest rivalry, from a man that is his entire career is built on rivalries, is John Cena. There's no question. Their rivalry in 2005 and 2006, ongoing for the next 4 or 5 years, was so compelling. It all started with Edge taking the championship from Cena, and then Edge and Lita had that live sex celebration in the ring, and Cena had like so many qualms with that because he was always the family-friendly type of thing. And Edge redid the belt to make it to have rated R superstar on it with the circle, and Cena got so goddamn frustrated he started attacking Edge, and Edge went to Cena's house and slapped his father in the face. That made Cena so angry that he fought with Edge and then ended up throwing his ass in the Long Island Sound. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Long Island Sound is the most contaminated body of water in the United States. It's so contaminated that when Edge was swimming around, they had scuba divers in hazmat suits putting him on a boat that had to be brought to a decontamination center so he could be scrubbed off. That is ridiculous. Cena could have killed him. That is unbelievable to see from Cena in this day and age, but that's just how powerful that rivalry was, and it culminated in a ladder match for the championship.
TLC match.
Yeah, TLC match, sorry.
The TLC match where and many people don't remember this, in the TLC match where if Cena lost, he'd have to go to SmackDown.
Oh no! A fate worse than death, truly.
No, a fate worse than death would have been to go to ECW. Anyway.
Oh,
shit.
I'm sorry.
It makes you wonder, though, like you said, it was a rivalry that lasted for like years and years. How come they can't do that with freaking Cena and Orton?
Well, they kind of have done that now, because whenever you put Cena versus Orton against each other, they make it be like, oh, they've had such a long and prestigious history with each other, yada, yada, yada. They do that with Edge and long and prestigious history. You do that with Punk. Oh, Cena and Punk have a long history.
Except Cena and Orton just have matches.
They never really did have like an ongoing story. Orton punted Cena's dad, but that's like about it.
Cena's dad just gets shafted at every opportunity, doesn't he?
Yeah.
At least Punk didn't attack Cena's dad.
No, he totally did actually. During the Go Home show for Money in the Bank 2011, as he was mouthing off at Cena, he said, "And I'm glad your parents are in the arena." And Cena's like, "Don't start. Don't start. Don't
do
start.
it.
Don't do it."
But anyway,
I've had enough of this shit with Orton and Edge, you bastard.
To sum up Edge, the Rated R Superstar, it wasn't just a nickname. This guy would push the limits of what wrestling could be, whether it was the live sex celebration or whether it was most of his really fucking brutal matches that he had with Foley or Cena. This guy, he embodied WWE for quite a while, and I'm so glad that he's in the Hall of Fame because he absolutely deserves it. And he's won pretty much every major championship. He put over a lot of guys, and at the end of the day, he was a fantastic wrestler that the likes of which we may not ever see again.
How come we haven't mentioned his incredible tag team with Christian?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess we can also say that because that's where it started, and he had one of the best tag teams of all time. I'm so sorry that I did not mention that.
14-time champ. 14 times. That's unbelievable. Edge was a tag team monster back in the Attitude Era and beyond, especially with his partner Christian. That is crazy.
And it wasn't just with Christian either. It was with Hulk Hogan one time, Chris Benoit, Randy Orton, Jericho, and Mysterio.
Edge. You think you know me.
Oh, and can we also mention that his theme song is one of the best fucking theme songs ever?
I think it was the Foo Fighters that made it.
Really?
I can't remember. It was.
No. It was this. It's Alter Bridge, Metalingus.
You think you know me? It's Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. It's a band that like never gives their music to anybody, but gave it to him. That's what I remember from his Hall of Fame speech. I didn't know it was Alter Bridge. I thought it was Foo Fighters, but never mind. Regardless, his theme music is badass.
So, number 12, one of the first truly crossover wrestlers. This man's intense charisma and in-ring ability allowed him to break out of the WWE and onto his own. Due to political disputes and sour relations, he was forced to leave the WWE on bad terms, but his legacy still lives on in all of our hearts. And after years of waiting, we finally get to see him inducted into the Hall of Fame in the coming weeks. At number 12, we have the late, great, Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
Dip into a Slim Jim.
Oh, he's like Cartman. With every single fan of his, they always have to do an impression of it. Like they always do because the guy was such an unbelievable talker, and the way he carried himself and the ridiculous outfits he always wore to the ring. Randy Savage's career in the late 80s, early 90s is something to behold. He had arguably one of, if not the best matches ever at WrestleMania 3 against Ricky Steamboat. I mean, that was probably the very first WrestleMania match that stole the show. Literally, it stole the show. I remember seeing, it was actually Ricky Steamboat at a panel at some convention or whatever, talking about it, and he was sitting with Macho Man Randy Savage, signing autographs, and Hulk Hogan was sitting at a table around, glaring at them, and Steamboat's like, what's his problem? What's going on? And Savage just looks over and goes, "We stole it. He knows we stole it." Randy Savage stole that match. Steamboat stole that match. And that was the perfect cornerstone for him to become a main event superstar, winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 4, going on, cutting all of these unbelievable promos. His career is legendary. When you think of wrestling, there's a lot of people that might think Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Steve Austin, but there's a very large chunk of people that will say Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah,
and for good reason. This guy, back then, he was a fucking megastar. Not a superstar. This guy was a fucking megastar. He was in the same breath as, like, Friggin' Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Ricky Steamboat, all the popular guys at the time. He was over as fuck, and he still is. I do not know a single person that dislikes Randy Savage.
I actually know one person, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, besides fucking Hulk Hogan.
I don't know. I have no idea the history, but
It's not good.
No, it isn't.
And yet, Hulk Hogan's going to be the guy who inducts him into the Hall of Fame in a couple
oh, please, no. Please.
Yes.
Let Vince McMahon induct him.
Let his brother do it. Let Steamboat do it.
Okay, Steamboat's another good choice. If anything, I think the Poffo family is going to be doing the speech.
They should do.
Yeah, that was one of their requirements for the last couple of years, that the family has to all be on the stage, and one of them has to recite the posthumous speech for Randy Savage. Although both Steamboat and McMahon are very, very good entrants for Randy Savage, although I think Steamboat should absolutely do it.
I do too. I think what's really great about Randy Savage is that when it finally came into like the Hall of Fame and stuff, for the past 4 to 5 years, everybody, when it came to like, the Hall of Fame announcements, everybody's up in arms saying, oh, it should be Randy Savage. It should be Randy Savage. I, for one, am actually really happy that they finally are putting him in there, because now, for one, people can stop bitching. And two, he gets the recognition that, well, he was already Hall of Fame as far as we're concerned. Now he's officially Hall of Fame,
Yeah. It's just a shame that the people that were put in before him are kind of, okay, explain yourself, WWE. Coco Beware? Let's talk about this.
The Bushwhackers, fucking Drew Carey, fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, hold on. With Drew Carey and Arnold Schwarzenegger, they are inducted into a special celebrity wing. They are not in the class with the wrestlers that are inducted. They're in their own special class. So you have to separate the two.
Okay.
Secondly,
all right, I'll give you that.
The Bushwhackers are in the Hall of Fame, not because of their WWE career, but because of their career beforehand. The Bushwhackers were an extremely dominant tag team ever before they were in the WWE. They'll probably heavily recognize this during their Hall of Fame vignette. But that's something you guys have to understand about the Bushwhackers. But with Macho Man Randy Savage, it is that finally moment. It's finally. Same thing with Steve Austin in 2009. We've been waiting for that shit for like 7 years, but we finally got it. So
you got The Rock as well.
Yeah, same thing with The Rock in 2008. And, I mean, this is so huge for the Hall of Fame for him to finally be there. But before we move on to the next spot, Randy Savage was involved in a moment that still makes me cry. It still does. WrestleMania 7. You cannot mention Randy Savage's career without mentioning the I Quit match with the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7.
It was an I Quit match?
Yeah, it was not an I Quit match, but a retirement match, excuse me.
Right.
And Randy Savage ended up losing as a heel, and he was being humiliated by another woman. I think it was playing as Ultimate Warrior's manager at the time. And then Elizabeth just comes in out of nowhere from the crowd and throws her out of the ring. And keep in mind, Elizabeth and Randy Savage had been broken up for a little while now because Randy Savage was being an asshole, kayfabe-wise at least. And they have this moment in the ring where they're looking at each other like, what the hell? What is this? And Elizabeth just eyes him going, I forgive you. Come back to me. And then they embrace in the ring, and they have all of these wonderful shots of the crowd, and everybody's crying. And oh my God, it is a beautiful, beautiful moment. Go find it. Go watch it. It is still, to this day, one of the most emotional moments in wrestling.
It's a moment that you wouldn't think would be. It sounds a little bit sappy on the surface, but yeah, it's something worth watching.
It is the best love story in wrestling.
Yeah, ever.
I would be inclined to agree. I think the whole Randy Savage, Miss Elizabeth thing is so beautiful when you look at it. And I hope Miss Elizabeth gets a Hall of Fame spot eventually, too.
Her history is ridiculously tragic.
It is.
Well, managers get into the WWE before. I think Mr. Fuji's in, so there's no reason why.
And Paul Heyman is fucking guaranteed a spot.
Oh, he's the best wrestler in the WWE right now, pretty much.
Did you just say best? You said best wrestler.
Okay, if wrestling is the combination of being in the ring and talking, then his talking uplifts him past everybody else and puts him on the same level to overcome his lack of in-ring skills. That's how I'm going to justify that little snafu.
I guess so.
I can see that.
Randy Savage at number 12.
All right, let's move on to number 11, the last one for this video.
Last one for this video. Okay. Placed into the number 11 slot is a wrestler that has done something never seen before within the WWE. Despite the neglect from his superiors, lack of a steady push, and constant burial attempts, he has undoubtedly captured the hearts, minds, and imaginations of wrestling fans across the world through his small build, natural charisma, and incredible wrestling skill. We may never see him in the main event at WrestleMania ever again, but his WrestleMania moment is one that will never be forgotten. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Dragon, Daniel Bryan!
Let the bitching begin.
How can you fuck someone up like Daniel Bryan?
How can you?
This guy, as far as wrestling skill, is not only the best wrestler alive today, but is one of the best wrestlers to have ever lived. I can't believe this. They had such a wonderful build for him, too, from the time that he entered WWE at SummerSlam, officially anyway, all the way to the time he dropped the tag team championships when he was in Team Hell No with Kane. They had this wonderful slow build going on with him, and over time he just started getting over like Rover. And the guy's career is just such a story. I think I can call back to, if you want a very, very quick explanation of his career, the monster vignettes that they showed at WrestleMania 30 are perfect, because his entire career is that. I mean, that's not just his WWE career. His entire career was like that, because he constantly had to get over naturally because of his build. Granted, it wasn't as hard when he was in Ring of Honor in New Japan, because they don't give a shit about that there. But in WWE, man, the fact that he had that WrestleMania moment is a miracle in and of itself.
It's because we got involved.
It's because we got involved, and Punk leaving was the icing on that cake. Like, Daniel Bryan, man, I know people that they don't like him as a wrestler, but there is no way you cannot like him as a person. Especially after the Connor the Crusher Michalek videos that were released, or video, I should say, that was released by the WWE after WrestleMania 30. You can't not like the guy. And the fact that he was a main attraction in the Super Bowl parade at one time. I think it was in 2014 or something like that. The fact that it may have been 2015, I'm not too sure, but the fact that that happened and you don't mention it on Raw, what the fuck? If it were John Cena or Roman Reigns, you'd be all over that. But the fact that he has so many endorsements from so many important sports teams and foundations and other stuff like that, and you're not mentioning it, that doesn't make me angry. That makes me disappointed.
Oh, man. Calcos has become like a concerned parent for the WWE.
Well, you know what? Here, look. Ever since the Attitude Era, there were a lot of people that have brought people back into the WWE. There was Eddie Guerrero, was arguably the first one. Brock Lesnar was another one as well. You have Edge going into his singles career. You have a whole bunch of other people. You had the Nexus. One of the biggest ones is CM Punk back in summer of 2011. But for me, the person that got me back into wrestling was Daniel Bryan. So to see him not getting the treatment that he deserves, it makes me incredibly distraught. This was the guy for me that got me back in, and he's the best wrestler alive today. He can work any match with anybody and make himself and them look gold. Hell, the guy made Roman Reigns look like $1 million at Fastlane. Come on. How are you not pushing this guy to the stars? When people are mad that Roman Reigns is in the main event, they're not mad because Roman Reigns is in the main event. It's the fact that Daniel Bryan shouldn't be anywhere else. Daniel Bryan belongs nowhere other than the main event at WrestleMania 31 against Brock Lesnar. the wasted potential is ridiculous, and we have to put him on this list because the guy has a guaranteed Hall of Fame slot and is the most over person of the last 5 to 10 years of wrestling. He beat CM Punk in that regard. As far as being suddenly over, Daniel Bryan wins. Hands down.
I can see that, honestly. When I first saw Daniel Bryan, I think it was like on NXT or something, I'm just like, okay, I sense a good future for this little guy. And the fact that he was getting screwed over and over and over when it came to, I think, the main event, at least before then, he had plenty of time to build himself up. He had a chance for the United States Championship. He had a great tag team with Team Hell No. He got some pretty great opportunities to face like CM Punk and Sheamus and Big Show and Mark Henry and all these other people before that. He got to the main event and he fucking soared higher than he's ever soared before. He had such a beautiful WrestleMania 30, a series of moments when he was beating Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton in the same night. I would say that he got his WrestleMania moment that is going to forever immortalize him in WrestleMania history.
And lest we forget, he is one of the very few people to beat Cena clean since 2005. 100%
Exactly.
clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember him mentioning that like back before TLC 2013 when they were unifying the titles. Cena was doing this surprisingly good promo, and he mentioned Daniel Bryan's only legitimate shot at the title was against me, and he won. He won cleanly. And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of sort of keeping track with his career when he was still in Ring of Honor, but only like through wrestling magazines because I noticed like, this guy, Bryan Danielson, has won the award for best wrestler like 6 years in a row.
9 years in a row.
Well, at the
Really?
time it was 6.
Yeah, he lost this year.
Need we also go on the fact that the reason that he is so good, and that this may be a partial, but it's probably a big reason. I may be wrong on this, but he was trained by friggin' Shawn Michaels. You can see so much of Shawn Michaels in Daniel Bryan when it comes to how he tells a story in the ring. That's the thing that we haven't mentioned with some of the wrestlers, but the wrestlers that are on this list know how to tell a story in the ring. They are great ring generals. They can make people look good. They are fantastic on their own. Put any of these people against each other on this list, you're going to have a 5-star match, no question. Could be in the stupidest feud ever. Could be with, friggin' fighting over being in a soap commercial or fighting over custody of a kid or something. We've seen some pretty stupid storylines, but put these two people, whether they be from the list or with somebody else that's not on the list, put them together. You're going to have a fucking awesome match.
Daniel Bryan at number 11, he's had the shortest tenure within the WWE, but he's had a very storied 10-plus year career. And there is no question that he belongs on this list. Just not good enough to breach the top 10.
But he is still great. Don't get us wrong. He is an excellent wrestler, but we believe, because, trust me, it was really friggin' hard to narrow down this list. We had to cut a lot of people, but we had to put Daniel Bryan on this list. And even though he didn't make the top 10, damn it if he did not try.
I guess you could say that for this list, he's a solid B+.
More like knee plus, motherfucker.
Oh, shit. I keep seeing people listed as his finisher as knee plus, knee plus, knee plus. And I'm like, what does that mean? Oh, now I know what that means. I get it now. I'm a little slow.
And he should do it to Triple H.
He's done that to Triple H.
Yeah.
Well, he should do it
Multiple
again
times.
and have the announcers go knee plus, knee plus, knee plus.
Well,
if there's
the thing is, I hate that move now because for ever since he first used it against Cena at SummerSlam 13, that move was very protected. No one had ever kicked out of it cleanly. The only other person that had kicked out of it halfway was at WrestleMania 30. Randy Orton had kicked out of it, but he had been on the mat for 10 seconds, so it doesn't really count. Other than that, the first person to kick out of it was Roman Reigns at Fastlane.
Well, that's Roman Reigns. First off, there's your problem. to end this on a positive note, one of my biggest dream matches, I think, for Daniel Bryan would be against Shawn Michaels. They teased it for quite a while, and I still think that if you had Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels at a WrestleMania, it could potentially be one of the greatest matches to never happen.
It's one of those matches where, like, you buy the WWE video game just to create that match.
I totally would. I totally would make Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels in that game, and
Just
I'm
as
pretty
soon
sure
as they make a good one.
Oh, hey now.
Hey, WWF No Mercy, just create them.
Okay. Easy enough.
That sounds pretty simple. I just got to make out who the fuck is who in this game.
Well, there's Shawn Michaels, and then you can create Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, and he looks like a weird triangle person.
Who cares? WWF
Thanks.
No Mercy is the best wrestling game.
Thanks, N64
I would
graphics.
disagree, but yeah, that's for another video.
I'm partial to SmackDown versus Raw 2007, personally.
Yeah, see, so am I.
Stay tuned for the next videos. That was 15 through 11. Just a very quick rundown for those keeping score. Number 15, Rob Van Dam. Number 14, Lita and Trish Stratus. Number 13, Edge. Number 12, Randy Savage. And number 11, Daniel fucking Bryan.
Yes.
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 Yes.